Blue White Illustrated here at Beaver Stadium, just outside of the Penn State locker room. We're talking about Penn State football and their upcoming game with Ohio State. James Franklin previewed things, and for the most part, we talked about Drew Allar today. So we're going to be talking about Drew Allar today. Obviously, he's from Ohio, Nate, as you mentioned. Oh, by the way, this is Nate Bauer, senior editor, Blue White Illustrated. I'm Thomas Frank Carr. So Drew Allar's from Ohio, and this is a big game for him, except James Franklin wants this to be just another game. How close can they make those two things this week?
Oh man, I don't know. I think that James Franklin is committed to the process, right? None of this is new. Anybody who's been watching this guy for the last 10 years understands that this is how he operates, and it becomes more important to be less I'm not sure, it becomes more important to him to be mundane in these situations where the game is obviously of heightened importance, to try to keep everybody as level as he possibly can.
You noticed that today too, right? He had a very low energy kind of environment. While he was verbose and talked quite a bit, everything was very much very steady.
He has a game plan for the weekend on Saturday. He also has a game plan for Tuesday press conferences, and his game plan for this press conference, specifically after last week where it became a thing in multiple different avenues, right? The deep shots, the chunk plays, and the scheduling question both became things last week that he didn't want to have this week. And so he literally, he talked about it during the press conference. I promised myself that I would be succinct and direct and not elaborate on questions. But obviously he did that anyway, just because he can't help himself. He still talks at length about these topics. And in particular today, it was Drew Allar.
Yeah. Nate and I also have these problems where we come here and we're like, okay, this video is going to be X number of minutes, and then we go 15. However long it is, tack on a certain percentage. And James Franklin, this is the longest press conference he's given all year. I check every single day, or every single Tuesday. This was the longest press conference, despite his intentions, because we're all creatures of habit. This is all our nature. What else stood out to you today as far as things that we talked about and maybe something James Franklin did that piqued your interest?
Certainly, I thought the conversation about Marvin Harrison was interesting, right? Kyle McCord, just look, there's a little bit of an honesty here in that most games that Penn State plays to this point in the season, the media of which we are a part has not asked about the other team that Penn State is playing.
Yeah.
Right. So whether that's a reflection of the schedule or just a lack of interest or the fact that Penn State itself is the more compelling story at this point in the year. This year, it changed a little bit, or excuse me, this week it changed a little bit to where he's talking about Marvin Harrison and what makes him a unique and gifted receiver. What he has seen about Kyle McCord. I thought that it was interesting, him talking about the parallels between Kyle McCord and what Ohio State has done with him versus what Penn State's doing with Drew Allar, right? You've got these younger quarterbacks who have a little bit of time in the system but are first-time starters that are surrounded by talent. Right, at tight end, Cade Stover. I watched some of their film today. He's a guy that James Franklin loves. I love him too. Reminds me of Brenton Strange a little bit. Here's a guy that you can rely on and does a lot of different things, has great ball skills. But yeah, this is a team in Ohio State that James Franklin was certainly very complimentary of, and as you would expect, that's the type of team that they are.
It was interesting. I had kind of a third eye philosophical epiphany here during the press conference, and maybe something that'll come up later in the week, but we've talked about explosive plays ad nauseum this year, and one of the reasons we've talked about explosive plays is because they haven't gotten as many explosive plays, and James Franklin even broke down what that actually means from a statistical standpoint today. But it dawned upon me just this kind of concept of complementary football, balance, but another word for that might be complete. Do you need to be a complete team with no blemishes or flaws in order to win a national championship, to beat Ohio State in this game? Because Ohio State has flaws. Ohio State has issues they're working on. So I think it's this kind of push and pull of he's also setting a very high standard for his program of we want to be a complete team. Every team is aiming for perfection. Coaches talk about all the mistakes they need to correct. But at the end of the day, this is a very good football team, and I think that's what he tried to emphasize is their personality works, and they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be a complete team in order to win games. So does that actually happen this weekend? And I think that's the big conversation of how people are viewing these two teams coming into this game. Anything else that came up in your mind?
Yeah, just to what you're saying, he was asked specifically about Nick Singleton and KRON Allen and how the explosive running game or lack thereof this season. And I thought that he offered a fairly strong, and look, I'm as guilty as anyone, he offered a fairly strong retort that those guys have run hard. They have run the ball with intention and purpose, and whether those explosive plays have happened or not this season, and again, they have not happened this season, right? That's fact. You have seen the body language from KRON, from Nick, right, in terms of how they've responded to not getting some of those carries. So is there an acknowledged frustration on their behalf? I think obviously.
Yeah.
But is there also a satisfaction and a not only can we live with this, but we will pound the table that you are doing the right things and are being successful, carrying the ball for 5 yards at a pop? Absolutely. Like they are fine with this. James Franklin said it today, and I do think that that's something that is going to be interesting to watch moving forward because he also pointed out, look, and we've talked about this, they've done it before, okay?
Yes.
They have done it before. And so this notion that Nick Singleton all of a sudden isn't capable of having a home run is not, it's not real. It's not accurate. So they just have to continue to do what they're doing. And he believes that organically those plays will come. Yeah. We'll see, right?
There's an internet rumor that Nick Singleton gained weight and is slower this year. That's not what's happening. One of the things that is happening is the way teams have played them. Jay Sider talked about this past weekend. We filmed this, so we talked about this on the film over at T. Frank's Film Room, BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. Great time to remind you, sign up right now for 50% off if you're a new subscriber, and you'll get a year's worth of access to Blue White Illustrated. Great time to sign up. You can go see what we're talking about. James Franklin talked about this 3-safety system. I love how we're actually talking about football. Yeah. I love this. I love James Franklin gave a long, intricate answer about 3-safety systems and how teams have played their running game, which, again, we cover over at the film room. But I just think that that's going to be a part of the conversation this week as well. So the explosive play conversation, the defense they're about to face, it does not give you explosive plays in the run game or in the pass game. So that efficiency you talked about is going to be very important. Okay, final thoughts about today from James Franklin in the press conference. Wrap us all up, Nate.
Look, he was fairly straightforward, kept the subject to the subject, which is this is the next game on the schedule. And I know that fans don't want to hear that. It's true. The fastest path that Penn State, or the easiest path Penn State has to reaching the college football playoff is by winning all of its games.
Yep.
Losing on Saturday does not preclude it from still reaching the college football playoff. Winning on Saturday does not automatically include it from reaching reaching the college football playoff. There are still games to be played on the other side of this game. And so while it is of monumental importance, it's of monumental importance because it is their next game. And it's Ohio State. Yeah. Like this is it. I just looked at winning percentages, margin of victory, those things since the start of last season. I'm putting it out there. Guess what the 4 best teams for winning percentage in college football have been over the last year and a half?
Okay. I'm going to go with Michigan.
Yes.
All right. Ohio State.
Yes.
Georgia.
Yes.
Penn State.
Yes.
What do I win?
Nothing.
Oh! Well, that's going to be very fun to watch. 2 very good teams at the top of the college football stratosphere square off, and we'll find out who the winner is on Saturday, but that's not going to stop us from talking about it. We've got a great show coming up for you tomorrow on the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel. We have our official game preview on Thursday and some special stuff coming up on Friday. So subscribe to Blue White Illustrated on YouTube so you don't miss any of it.